Let's look at another one. Because we're really doing these examples to hunt for an invariant, is what we're trying to do here. Something that will let us prove we can never get to the desired state. All right, let's look at this one. A, B, C, D, G, H, E, F goes to, I'm going to move B down this time. A, C, D, B, G, H, E, F. So B moves down. The relative order changes. Which pairs got changed in their relative order? B changed with C and E. C and D. B used to be before C and D. When it moves down here, it goes after C and D. Any guess about what lemma 2 is going to be? What happens when we make a column move? Change the order of good. So a column move changes the order of a guy with the previous two or the next two, which means the relative order of two pairs change. So let's take that as lemma 2. Yeah, when we say don't do proof by example, we don't mean don't try examples. Because by trying examples, you find out what you're trying to prove. Right? So that's good to do. A column move changes the relative order of precisely two pairs of items. So let's prove that. In a column move, we move an item in cell I, for some I, to a blank spot in cell what? I minus 3 or I plus 3? Okay. And just to see that, let's draw out the natural order. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Column moves could be here. 1 to 4 and 4 to 1. 2 and 5, 3 and 6, 4 and 7, 5 and 8, 6 and 9. All 12 possible column moves this works for. They're always separated by 3. And when an item moves 3 positions, it changes relative order with 2 other items. And you can even write down what they are. It's I minus 1, I minus 2, or I plus 1, I plus 2. Those are the guys it changes order with. All right, we got 2 lemmas here. That one's done now. In a row move, order does not change. In a column move, 2 pairs of letters get flipped. That's all you can do with this puzzle now. So can anybody think of something we can work with to get an invariant here? Something that won't change. What we should be focusing on. Yeah?
You can only switch 2 pairs of items at a time. So if if you don't have an even number of things at least, you can't switch from one thing to another.
Yeah, that's good. So really to focus in on there is if you have an even number of things out of order to start, you're going to have an even number forever because you can only change 2 at a time. That's a great idea. Let's really specify that now and define that. A pair of letters or items, call them L1 and L2, they form an inversion, or called an inverted pair. also known as an inverted pair. If L1 precedes L2 in the alphabet, but L1 appears after L2 in the puzzle. All right, so that is an inversion. So for example, let's see, how many inversions do we have in this case? Got A, B, C, F, D, G, E, H. How many inversions are there in that state of the puzzle? Yeah? Three, good. And what are they?
D is after F.
Yeah, DF is an inversion. EF is an inversion. And what's the last one? EG is an inversion. Yes, so the answer is there's three inversions in this puzzle. And if I keep doing row and column moves to this, what do I know about the parity of the number of inversions? Will always be odd. That's sort of interesting. Okay. Now, how many inverted pairs are there in the start state? Way back over here. How many inverted pairs here? One inversion. How many inversions here? 0. All right. And can you see where we're going to head here now? If I started with 1, that's odd. And every time I do a row move or column move, it's going to stay odd. And I can never get here. Is that clear, what we're trying to do? So let's keep doing it. All right, let's go over here. All right, so now we'll use lemma 1 and lemma 2 to create this notion that we only change the number of inversions by an even number in lemma 3. During a move, the number of inversions can only increase by 2, decrease by 2, or stay the same. All right, and this proof is pretty easy. There's a couple of cases. In a row move, what happens? How does the number of inversions change in a row move? Stays the same. No changes. And that's by lemma 1. Now in a column move, there's 3 cases. Well, we know 2 pairs change order. That we know. That's lemma 2. All right, by lemma 2 we know that. But the 3 cases are, let me start on the next board. So case A is that both of the inverted pairs were in order originally, before the column move. What happens to the number of inversions in this case as a result of the column move? Goes up by 2. Case B is that both pairs were inverted before I made the column move. What happens to the number of inversions in that case? Decreases by 2. They were in order, so they were inverted. Now, when I flop them, they become in order. So inversions drops by 2. And case C is there's one of each. One of the pairs was inverted. The other wasn't. What happens to the number of inversions in that case? Yeah, stays the same. All right, and we're done. That's what the lemma says. It can go up by 2, down by 2, or stay the same. All right, now a simple corollary of this is that during a move, the parity, i.e. even or odd, of the number of inversions stays the same. It can't change at all. During a move, the parity, and the parity means even, odd. Sometimes it's called 0, 1. But the evenness or the oddness of the number of inversions does not change. Where? Oops. I mean one pair is inverted, one pair is not. No, I mean 2 pairs change order in a column move. Right? Let's go back and look at that. So I'm doing a column move. For example, G goes up, GH changes order, GE changes order. G changes order with these 2 guys, so there's 2 pairs that got flipped. All right? So in a column move, 2 pairs reverse their order. If they were in order, they become inverted. If they were inverted, they become in order. Any other questions? Yeah?
So we're saying that letters can be members of like more than one pair.
Yes, a letter can be in, the letter is in 7 pairs, because there's 7 other letters. And in fact, we're looking at a space of, what, 8 times 7 divided by 2, 28 pairs of letters. So there could be 28 inversions if they're all out of order. Any other questions?